Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is, are the Clippers about to become one of the scariest teams in the NBA? So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, be sure to make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos, because sometimes videos come out and people miss them. They wonder, why didn't I see it? Because that happens. It happens to a lot of YouTube channels. So make sure you hit the notification bell if you haven't already. Also, check out our Dreamerspro Max is an online sports community that we created. Place where you go and start basketball discussions, chat live during games, go live with us after games, consume content that you're not going to be able to get anywhere else, nowhere on this channel, and do so many other cool things. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to check that out and get 7 days of free access. We have that linked in the description below. Sure, you're going to enjoy it. People are signing up every day, it seems like, and as the season rolls around, I'm sure you guys are definitely going to want to be a part of that. So anyway, let me get into this topic here, right? So we all know that the NBA trade deadline was a crazy week for everybody, especially for teams looking to contend for an NBA championship. There were a lot of teams that were looking to make some moves, to get better during the NBA trade deadline, and some teams got much better, to be quite honest with you. If you look at the Lakers, they picked up the #1 rebounder in the NBA in Andre Drummond, right? That was a major boost to their team, to their size, given the fact that they had lost some of their key bigs last season in Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee. They brought in Marcus Gasol, but he really hasn't lived up to what they expected him to be. So they definitely needed to add more size, a better rim presence, in the paint. So they went and got Andre Drummond. That was a big pickup for them. Then you look at the Brooklyn Nets, right? The rich got richer. The Brooklyn Nets picked up Blake Griffin, who some people were like, wow, they got Blake Griffin out of purgatory, out of prison. It seemed like when he was playing with the Detroit Pistons. They just basically, he was like going nowhere playing with them. Then they also picked up LaMarcus Aldridge. That was the move that kind of had everybody feeling a little bit salty. Like, man, these guys have everybody. Doesn't Kevin Durant doesn't want to compete. Blah 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 blah. Y'all already know my opinion on that. I feel like it's something teams have been doing over the past 15 years. It seems like everybody's been doing that. So I don't see what the big news is here. The Golden State Warriors just did that a few years ago when they went out there and recruited KD. Remember Draymond Green going to the parking lot crying to get KD? Like, come on. Other teams have done that. Another team that also got much better, or got better since the trade deadline, was the Denver Nuggets, right? The Denver Nuggets picked up Aaron Gordon, a two-way player, two-way wing that can score and defend. And since picking him up, the Denver Nuggets haven't lost a game since. The Denver Nuggets have won 5 games in a row. So Denver got better. And of course, the Clippers got better, right? The Clippers got better by adding Rajon Rondo, who's a 2-time NBA champion, one of the smartest players to ever play that position. Just helped the Los Angeles Lakers win their 16th championship banner. Probably the 3rd best player on that championship run last season for the Lakers. Kyle Kuzma is usually hit or miss, but Rondo was that 3rd player that they definitely need. Made some championship winning plays, some timely shots. We all saw the role that he played on that team. Definitely one of the smartest players to ever play that position, at the point guard position. A player that everybody agreed was the player that the Clippers needed to get during the offseason. Everyone agreed upon this. Skip Bayless said it. Shannon Sharp said it. Nick Rice said it. Max, everybody said that. Kendrick Perkins said it. Everyone said that Rajon Rondo was the piece the Clippers needed to pick up over the offseason, and some people were laughing at them when they didn't get him, like Shannon Sharp and others. Like, oh, I told you, Rondo was a piece you needed. You didn't get him. Blah 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 blah. But they ended up picking up Rajon. Rondo. Now listen. Rondo's only played 1 game with the Clippers. Over the last 11 games, the Clippers have been on a tear defensively. Over the last 11 games, the Clippers are holding opponents to 100 points per game. That's astonishing, given how inconsistent they've been on the defensive side of the floor all season long. They really took their defense to another level, right? They went up a notch, and they're doing all of this without their best rim protector in Serge Ibaka, who led the league in blocks 3 times before, and their best on-the-ball point guard defender, Patrick Beverley. They're doing this without these 2 guys, which shows you that defense is an effort thing, and you can play defense collectively as a team. So these guys have really been picking it up on the defensive side of the floor. But I think they're about to get even better, right? Because now I think they're about to go out there and try to acquire Demarcus Cousins. Now, when the news becomes finalized, when they finalize it this week, we're probably going to go live on that, but we're waiting for it to be finalized. Like, I think it has, I don't think all of the wrinkles have been ironed out as of yet, but they're planning to sign Demarcus Cousins to at least a 10-day contract. I think he's probably going to make it on the roster for the rest of the season, right? Now, Demarcus Cousins is a very skilled 6'10" center, right? That can definitely play some backup minutes for this team. He did play games this regular season. He played with the Houston Rockets, but I think it was waived because Houston has been a disaster, especially ever since James Harden departed from that team. They just took a nosedive, right? They're adding a good player, a skill big, that's going to come in and play backup minutes. Remember, Serge Ibaka's been out, so that he's probably going to be the backup center to Ivica Zubac, something that they needed, right? They only have one center at the moment, so it was a move that the Clippers actually needed to make desperately, because we didn't know when Serge Ibaka was going to come back. Assuming when Serge Ibaka does come back, now they have three legitimate bigs, right? So if one of them gets in foul trouble, you have another big body that you can throw out there to get some minutes, and that can help you, sustain, your pace in the game. So because if Ivica Zubac goes out or Serge Ibaka gets into foul trouble, and then you're playing against a very skilled big like Nikola Jokic, then you're going to find yourself in a very desperate situation. So for me, I thought this was one of the moves they needed to make. Last season, they had an insurance policy in Joakim Noah, although he never got any minutes, while Montrezl Harrell and these guys were getting, toasted by the Joker. Joakim Noah never even made it on the floor. So last year, there was some questionable decisions that took place there. But for me, I think the addition with this, if they sign and keep DeMarcus Cousins, I think this move makes the Clippers probably the deepest team in the NBA. Some people may take some exception to that. Some people may say it's the Utah Jazz. Some people may say it's the Brooklyn Nets. But I think that with this one piece, if they add him, this final piece, I think the Clippers, if you look at their roster from top to bottom, they will have zero weaknesses. Before the addition of this guy, they have 11 players. The Clippers go 11 deep. You already know their roster. But with the addition of him, if you go and look at their roster and if you look at the positions, they have a player at every position, a backup player at every position. The Clippers will have no weakness on their roster. You would have what's his name, Rajon Rondo as a starting point guard. The backup will be Patrick Beverley. At the 2, I think you have Paul George. They're probably going to put Terrence Mann or Luke Kennard there. And then you have, maybe Luke Kennard, maybe Terrence Mann will play minutes after Kawhi Leonard or something like this. Then you have Marcus Morris Sr. Then you have Nicholas Batum. Then you have Serge Ibaka. Then you're going to have a backup center in Ivica Zubac. And what's his name? And DeMarcus Cousins. They will have no weaknesses. This team will have no weaknesses, and I think it will make them probably the most complete team in the NBA. This is something you could not say about the Clippers last season. Going into those playoffs last year, they had some holes on that team. A major spot where they had a hole was in the power forward and center position. When you have Montrezl Harrell, who's a 6'7" power forward playing that position, and you go against a bigger team, you're going to be in trouble. The Lakers didn't have that problem. The Lakers were probably the biggest team in the NBA last season, right? If you look at their players, they had a lot of size, like a lot of size, starting with LeBron James. He's 6'9". AD, I think, is 6'10" or 6'11". Then you have Dwight Howard, who's 6'11". Then you have JaVale McGee, who was a 7-footer. Like, the Lakers had a lot of size and length. This year, I think the Clippers would have built the perfect roster to go into the playoffs. But they have no weaknesses. If somebody goes down, they have somebody else that can step up. Now, assuming the key players stay healthy like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, I think that this makes them the most versatile team in the NBA. They can go big, they can go small, they can play any style of basketball that you need them to play if they're able to pick up DeMarcus Cousins. And for me, I think it'll make them very good. I think it'll make him very scary. Now, some people, I was listening to Jalen Rose, was it just last night? I think he has 3 teams ahead of the Clippers, which is fine. He has the Utah Jazz. I think he has the Los Angeles Lakers. And I think he has another team, and in the Denver Nuggets. He has these 3 teams ahead of the Clippers in the West, and then he has the Clippers ranked number 4. So the West is already deep, but I think with this addition, they become probably the deepest team out west. I could be wrong. It could be another team. But in my opinion, I think that's where it puts them. So what I want to know from you guys is, do you think that the Clippers can become very, very good, like even scary, with the addition of Demarcus Cousins, given all of the reasons I just listed out to you guys? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, it's your Charles here from Dreamers Pro. Wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode.